אחת. from cell phone.
So, right.
Come by with a cell phone.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing how you made it.
Hi everyone, I'm ELAD, the Livestream guy. As I just tried to say before, we're going to start in a few moments. We still wait for a few people to come and then we're going to start.
למה אני שואל? כי יש לו גם כן כזה דבר. שבא עם זה, חשבתי שזה קיץ' שהוא עושה. ברכת דיין מה? בשם מלכות או בלי שם מלכות? עכשיו תגיד במקול ברוך אתה אלוהים דיין האמת תקרא כלפי מי עוד קצת מפה
תודה שכולכם באים הערב באמצע 3 השבועות עם הצער של החורבן אני מבקש מרב יעקב עדי להספיד וגם כן לעשות הקדמות שנהוגו במרוקו.
רציתי רק להקדים שגבריאל בן דודי, זכרונו לברכה, בן דוד ראשון, אני זכיתי בתור ילד במקהלה באם הבנים, בית הספר שלנו בקזבלנקה, להיות נוכח בחתונה שלו עם רחל. זה היה כשהייתי במקהלה. אני יכול להגיד לכם שזה לפני עשרות שנים, ואנחנו נעשה מאמץ לעשות את המנהג של אבותיו כדי שנשמתו באמת תזכה לנחת רוח בגן עדן. יושב בסתר עליון בצל שדי יתלונן, אומר לאדוני מחסי ומצודתי, אלוהי אבטח בו, כי הוא יצילך מפח יקוש, מדבר הבות בעברתו, יאסך לך ותחת כנפיו תחסה, צינה וסוחרה אמיתו, לא תירא מפחד לילה, מחץ יעוף יומם, מדבר באופל יהלוך, מכתב ישוץ ההוריים יפול מצידך, 1000 מימינך, אליך לא ייגש, רק בעיניך תביט, ושילומת רשעים תראה, כי אתה אדוני מחסי, עליון שמת מעונך, לא תאונה אליך רעה, נגע לא יקרא באהליך, כי מלאכיו יצווה לך, ישמורך בכל דרכיך, על כפיים יישאונך, פן תגוף באבן רגליך, על שחל ופתן תדרוך, תרמוס כפיר ותנין, כי בי חשק ואפלתהו, אסגבהו כי ידע שמקראני, בעיניהו עמו אנוכי בצרה, אחלצהו ואכבדהו, אורך ימים אשביעהו, ואראהו בישועתי. אני חייב להזכיר שבתור ילד קטן, באזכרות של המשפחה, באבל של המשפחה, הדודה של גבי בבית שלה, בידה אוחנה, אני בתור ילד היינו הולכים וקוראים את התהילים במנגינה הזאת, ולא רק זה, אלא בבית העלמין היינו שמים אותנו בשורה ימין, בשורה שמאל, ילדים, ואומרים את התהילים בקול רם. וכשהמלך בשנת 61, המלך מרוקו נפטר, היהודים פחדו שיהיה פוגרום, ואז כולם יצאו, הוציאו אותנו בתור ילדים, לשיר, לא לשיר, להגיד את הפרקי תהילים ולהתאבל, ואז המוסלמים דממו, ראו, אתם עושים כבוד למלך שלנו, לא נגעו בנו. עכשיו אני רוצה לעבור לגבי גבריאל. לצערנו, במשפחה שלנו, זאת אומרת, היו 3 בנים, אבא שלי, אביו של גבריאל, ועוד אבא של אלישע, שהוא, יש איזה שם הם קראו במשפחה, כן? שלום קרא את הבן שלו על שם אלישע, שזה הדוד הגדול, ועוד 4 בנות, בידה, חסיבה, פרחה ואסתר. לצערנו, כולם הלכו, וגם חלק מהמשפחה, גם אחיו של גבריאל, מקסים, גם כן נפטר. וכששמענו את האבל הזה, גבריאל היה איש משכמו ומעלה, בעל מידות טובות. אני יכול רק להגיד פרשת השבוע שמדברת על נדרים. מה זה נדר? נדר אדם מתחייב לעשות משהו, אז כתוב לא יחל דברו, לא יחלל את הדבר, כל היוצא מפיו יעשה. היה איש נאמן למורשת, לדת, למצוות, לחינוך, זכה ברוך השם לחנך את הילדים יחד עם רחל, עם ענת. אמרו לי רחל, כל פעם אומרים לי, אני אומר ענת ואתם אומרים רחל. היה לי ויכוח כל הנסיעה מירושלים. אמרתי זאת ענת למשפחת מרתה. ההורים שלה גרו עם ההורים שלי בקזבלנקה. אז אני יודע ענת, טוב, בסדר. על כל פנים גידלו אותם את הבנים בחינוך הטוב ביותר. ואנחנו עקבנו אחרי זה. יצא לי המון פעמים להיות בבית שלהם באמריקה, בפילדלפיה. כשעוד אריה היה קטנצ'יק, ובחתונה של שלום ראית איזה דרך ארץ מיוחדת במינה. ראית איזה זיווג כל כך יפה. בית של חסד, בית של חינוך, בית של מעשים טובים, בית של שמירת מצוות. אין מה לדבר. האבדה של גבריאל היא קשה מאוד. הוא היה אדם רגוע. הוא אדם שאפשר להגיד עליו, יגיע כפיך כי תאכל, אשריך וטוב לך. עבד בעבודה קשה במוסך. כשאני הייתי בא, היינו קובעים שזה ב-4, כשהוא סוגר את המוסך, מהאוטובוס היה לוקח אותי הביתה, זה היו בעניין של 30 שנה, 20 שנה, המון פעמים. הוא איש משפחה למופת, והוא, הייתי אומר, כמו שכתוב, וילך מנוח אחרי אשתו, מאוד כיבד את אשתו, מאוד שיתף איתה פעולה, וזה היה באמת בית של הרמוניה, של הבנה, של אהבה. לצערנו, הוא היה יתום צעיר. אבא שלו, מבין כל האחים שלנו, הוא הראשון שנפטר. ושלום הבכור שלו, זה על שמו. אבא שלו נפטר אולי בגיל 30. אז תחשבו לאיזה מצב הוא נכנס, וברוך השם זכה והקים את המשפחה בצורה הטובה ביותר. השתיקה שלו, הוא לא דיבר הרבה, כתוב דיבור כסף, שתיקה זהב. אבל אני רק אגיד לכם משפט אחד. רבי שמעון בר יוחאי בא לקדוש ברוך הוא ורצה לדבר איתו, להגיד לו, למה יש פה אחד? שיהיו 2 פיות, אחד לחול ואחד לקודש. תוך כדי שהוא שואל את זה, הוא חוזר בו, אומר לו, ומה אם בפה אחד שיש בו קודש וחול, כמה חול יש, אז יהיו 2 פיות, זה יהיה כפול, אז כדאי להשאיר את זה ככה. כי הדיבור, רבותיי, זה דבר, יש לנו 4 סוגים. יש דומם, זה האבן, הקשר, צומח, חי זה בעל חי, מדבר זה האדם. מותר האדם מן הבהמה, עין, לבד הנשמה טהורה. אין לנו יתרון יותר מאשר הדיבור. וגבי היה איש ששמר על דיבורו, מעולם לא דיבר לשון הרע, מעולם לא פתח בפיו בדברים לא טובים. החינוך שהוא קיבל והשורש איפה שהוא היה. לכן רבותיי, אני לא רוצה הרבה להסביר את זה, אבל אולי נגיד רק משפט אחד באנגלית. He was good man, gentleman. He was quietly, his family, it was in the high degree. ובצרפתית, il a été un quelqu'un qu'il est formidable. Il n'a pas parlé beaucoup, il a parlé rien que les choses qui sont propres de sa bouche. Et la grande zéchout qu'il a fait, qu'il a éduqué les enfants comme il faut. Et Baruch Hashem, Ariel, Shalom, Karim, הילדים, ואני חושב שלשלום עוד אין נכדים, נכון? כל מה שאתם תעשו ותחנכו זה יהיה לזכותו של גבריאל ותיבדל לחיים הנץ. ותהיה נשמתו צרורה בצרור לחיים. אני רוצה רק להגיד שני פיוטים שאנחנו נוהגים לעשות אותם. לך אלי תשוקתי, זה שאומרים אותו בערב כיפור. בך חשקי ואהבתי, לך ליבי וכליותיי, לך רוחי ונשמתי, ויום מלכתי לפניך רצנה את הליכתי, ותחת צל כנפיך תנענה את מחיצתי, יביאוני לגן עדך, ושם תהיה ישיבתי, ואת עדן באורך, ושים כבוד מנוחתי, עת שערי רצון להיפתח, יום אהיה כפי לאל שוטח, אנא זכור נא לי ביום הוכח, עוקד והנקד והמזבח. אמר לאברהם אדון שמיים, אל תשלחה יראל שלשעוריים, שובו לשלום על אחי מחניים, יום זה זכות לבני ירושלים. בו שערי רחמים אני פותח, עוקד והנקד והמזבח. אני אגיד בקשת מחילה, אמנם חברה קדישה תגיד גם אחר כך, ואני אומר לבקש מחילה. On doit demander le pardon. We ask pardon from him. רבי גבריאל בן שלום ורובידה, בשם כל הילדים שלך, בשם הנכדים, בשם רעייתך הנט, בשם כל בני הדודים, בשם כל משפחת עדי, בשם חברה קדישה בארצות הברית, חברה קדישה כאן בבית שמש, בשם כל בני המשפחה, כל החברים והידידים, מבקשים ממך מחילה וסליחה וכפרה, וגם נותנים לך מחילה ואומרים מחול לך, שלום לך, מותר לך, מחול לך, שלום לך, מותר לך בעולם הזה ובעולם הבא, ושר עוונך וחטאתך תכפר, נתפר עדה חבילה. תזמין אותי.
תודה, אביעדי. מרגש. רציתי לבקש עכשיו לאשתי, ליאורה. I'd like to say a few words out of my father.
Papa, the quality that most exemplified you was your generosity. You moved to America in 1969 with your wife and at that time 5 children. And you worked in the car business and then moved up to become the owner of the car shop. Throughout your life, you worked very hard, waking up each morning at the crack of dawn and returning late at night. Your greatest joy was on Shabbat, sitting at the table with all your children and extended children around you, watching them enjoy all the fruits of your labor. Whenever my family, Ari and I and the kids, would come to Philadelphia for Shabbat, we were treated by you and by Mamo like true royalty. It was like I felt like the Queen of England and Ari the King of England. The table would be set with all kinds of delicacies. You would go and buy for my kids and for us all sorts of treats. I remember Shabbos morning, you always cutting up the watermelon, handing us each a bowl of fresh fruit, and with a big smile on your face. One of the most wonderful memories that I have was sitting next to you on Shabbat on the couch and talking to you about Eretz Yisrael. Your face was lit up with such joy whenever I discussed stories about us living here in Israel. I felt like we were actually living your dream. You always dreamed of living here, and we were fulfilling that dream for you. I remember talking to you how Michael was going to be joining the army, helping to protect us. And you were so, so proud. You were a man who took so little for himself and always gave so much to your family, to your children, and to all those around you. I want to thank you so much for raising such a wonderful family and for instilling my husband with so many wonderful, great midot. I know that now in Shemayim, you will be treated like royalty, just like you treated me and my family and all your children. We love you, and we'll miss you terribly.
I'd like to call upon my nephew Jeremy Kolaski, who made Aliyah and got married here in Israel just a few months ago. Jeremy.
It was no secret that Saba had been ripped. Growing up, we would pore over black and white photos of him in wonder and amazement. In them, he would be flexing and flaunting his well-oiled, muscle-bound body, flanked by his bodybuilding buddies. It was sometimes hard to reconcile the bodybuilder in the photos with the man who would say Kiddush and Hamotzi for us on Shabbat and Chagim in those hallowed Moroccan cadences. It was almost as if there were two worlds running parallel, sometimes converging for a brief, revelatory moment, and then quickly diverging once again. One world contained the younger Moroccan Saba, and the other, the older American Saba. The world of Moroccan Saba was a patchwork of scattered, shape-shifting stories pieced together over our childhood years. On long Shabbat walks in Northeast Philly, Saba would regale us with stories from his youth. The time he played soccer barefoot and kicked a rock instead of the soccer ball. The crazy long bike rides he would endure under the sweltering Moroccan sun with very little in the way of food and water. That one unfortunate bike ride when he got into a bad accident after veering off the road to avoid colliding with an Arab on a donkey. How he stemmed the flow of blood with the nearby dirt and only had the Arabs' leftover date harvest to fuel the rest of the arduous journey. The parakeet that flew into his window stuck around as his pet and then died soon after Saba had to part ways with it. During particularly intense stories, Saba would suddenly stop in his tracks so he could direct all of his energy and attention into the dramatic details. Sometimes he would even play act the scene, reliving it before our eyes. Like the terrifying moment Saba caught sight of my toddler mom climbing high on the sill of the screenless windows in their Casablanca apartment. I still remember his voice, laced with fear, when he animatedly recalled how he had quietly crept up to my mom from behind so as not to scare her, snatched her away from the vertiginous heights, and collapsed backwards with her in a great sigh of relief. And of course, there's a story of how he met Safta that we would hear again and again over the years, each time with delightful new details. The gym, the no-show date, the necklace and family name to prove his Judaism despite the damning evidence of his blonde hair and pale complexion, the impromptu date at the Platters concert. The world of Moroccan Saba was a magical, mysterious one, full of miracles and wonders, strange coincidences, tragedy and triumph, and bravery sometimes bordering on recklessness. It was storybook stuff, except it was real. It had happened. And visiting that world with Saba was a great privilege, especially for children who had not yet ventured farther than Florida. We could hear the longing and yearning in Saba's voice when his memories transported him back to McNess and Casablanca. We could see the thrill in his face as he dashed across the beach in pursuit of the soccer ball, his feet kicking up sand. We could feel the searing pain as his pale skin baked in the midday Moroccan sun. A small piece of that world will be embedded in our hearts and minds forever. The world of American Saba was composed of our day-to-day interactions with him in Northeast Philly. This is the Saba that we spent countless Shabbats and Chagim with. He was loving, affectionate, gentle, quiet, strong-willed, kind, proud, and humble. He was a rock. He was a teddy bear. He was home. We would always greet him with a big hug, and it was abundantly clear that he took great joy from seeing us and spending time with us. As my siblings mentioned, he always made sure to cut our favorite fruit, and he had a knack for spotting the best ones, and to stock the freezer with the tastiest ice creams. There was only one thing that made him as upset as seeing his grandchildren fight, even if it was play fighting, and that was when he heard any kind of slight against Israel, a country he defended with a ferocity that we rarely saw and had few clues he was capable of. Saba shared our passion with nature, and despite his advanced age, could appreciate it with the eyes of a child. Some of his favorite topics to discuss were that of the weather and wildlife. Later in life, when I would show him my wildlife photos, he would go wide-eyed and exclaim in wonder. "Where did you see these?" he would ask. "You saw these here?" "No," he would say in disbelief. I wanted so badly to take the 20-year-old Saba by the hand and bring him with me on my birding expeditions, or to have him accompany us on our summer bike rides through Pennypack Park. Saba was also enraptured by feats of human courage and skill that verged on the supernatural. Whether he was watching the Olympics, car racing, American Ninja Warrior, or weightlifting competitions, you could tell that he was imagining himself in the TV, whipping around the corner of the racetrack, or swinging along the obstacle course. When Saba spoke with passion about these things, his eyes would light up, just as they had when he told stories about his childhood in Morocco. You could catch a glimpse of his younger self motoring through Morocco or tussling with the less friendly of the locals, and the Moroccan and American worlds would converge, however briefly. Those moments were priceless. There is so much more I can say about Saba and how he was a role model for us growing up. How he represented our Moroccan heritage and embodied so many of the values that we hold close to our hearts. How the fissures in his thick hands were saturated in grease and grime from the many years of manual labor as a car mechanic. How those same hands would crack post-dinner nuts for my mom and her siblings long before I was around, or hold us up as babies with the proudest of smiles, or clang his glass cup with his metal knife to announce the start of a meal and summon us all to eat, or lift the bundles of stuff and wooden walls from his red pickup truck and lay it out on the front lawn, getting ready to build a sukkah. The list could go on infinitely. The stories will be told and retold for many years to come, handed down from generation to generation, in Israel, in America, and who knows where else. But for now, I will just say goodbye one last time. We would never leave Saba without him wrapping us up in a big bear hug and placing a kiss on the tops of our heads. So Saba, we are sending you one last big hug goodbye, and we can feel your big bear hug warming our hearts. We will love and remember you always.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'd like to ask my nephew Alicia, Addie, to give a hesped. Alicia lives here in Yerushalayim for the past several years, more than several years now. Alicia.
We know that everything that happens is in the Torah. And specifically the events of that week we could find hinted in the Parsha. This week's Parsha is Matus Masai. And Matus speaks about the inning of Nadarim and Shavuos. The Gemara Nida says that before a baby leaves its mother's womb, they make the neshama of that new baby has to make a shvua that he's going to be a tzaddik, he's not going to be a rasha. The Akedah Yitzchak says on this part from the Gemara that it's in order that a person should have the strength, that he knows that he made a shvua, he knows what his mission is. His mission is clear to him. That when he comes into this world, he knows what he has to do. And this is one thing that we saw by our Saba. That by him there was no shortcuts. He did always what he needed to do. He always went to davening when he had to go. He davened 3 times a day. There's no, even if he wasn't feeling up to it, whatever it was, we didn't even know if he wasn't feeling up to it. He did. We saw consistency, that he knows what he wants and that's what he's doing, and there's nothing else. Then the other parsha is Masai. Masai refers to the the journeys of Klal Yisrael when they left Mitzrayim. And when they were in the Midbar. The Baal Shem Tov says that each year has to go through these 42 Masois that Klal Yisrael went through, an aspect of it in his lifetime. It means there's ups and downs, there's challenges, and then he goes, and then he returns his neshama back to Hashem. Saba, you kept here. You kept Yeshua. You were faithful to the Torah and the mitzvahs. You davened 3 times a day. Your highlight of the week was going to shul on Shabbos. This came out, nothing that would stop you from going to shul on Shabbos. You were part of Lizerovsky's shul until it closed, and even then, you would walk to Chabad on the other side of town. You wouldn't miss shul for anything. We knew what was important about you. We knew what you enjoyed, what you appreciated. All of your kedusha that you answered in shul, every amen, every kriyas that you heard, all the shmuzin from Rav Lizerovsky, from Rav Shem Tov, this is all going with you. And how much you loved Rabbanim, you loved Tzaddikim, you loved Rav Lizerovsky, you loved Rav Shem Tov, and the different Rabbanim and Tzaddikim that you knew. And I'm sure now they're all coming to greet you. The tremendous amount of support you would give to your family, especially my family. We had a big family. You would help us in any way we needed. Everything that I have, everything that my family has is in your schools. Tremendous amount of tzedakah you gave. We won't forget the Shabbos and Yom Tov that we had with you together. Remember, in the memory of, I'll never forget, saying by your chayv for Kiddush, and your Kiddush, the way you said Kiddush. The little Seder that we had together for years, sitting there. You shined with the radiance of menucha, of tranquility, of calmness, appreciating your family sitting around you, appreciating that it's supposed to be a yid. You're proud to be a yid. Proud to be a Jew. And you would say the Seder, you would go to the Haggadah and the tune, the Moroccan tune that you know. With such simplicity, with such emunah, such you can feel the neshama. This is how we grew up. This is what we grew up with. This is what you gave us. And you looked free. You looked free sitting there. You looked chayris. It's free. It's chayris. He knows what his mission is in this world. He's going to fulfill it, and he's going to go to the next world. One midah that you had that everyone knew about is how you were careful with your words. So careful with your words. This is something that as a family together we all have to learn from. This is our Musar that we have from our Saba. Careful with your words. Careful what you say. And your love for Eretz Yisrael was just, every time you would speak to me, you saw me, you would say, what's new in Eretz Yisrael? What's new in Eretz Yisrael? That's your yearning, such a simple love. Eretz Yisrael. This is where a Yid belongs. This is where a Jew belongs. This is our kedusha. This is the closest place to Hashem. You served Hashem with a certain midah that comes from a previous generation. That's something that's hard. It's hard to see anymore. It's hard to connect with, and so much. You knew what you needed. You knew what you wanted. You knew what was important, and nothing took you away from that. You didn't have questions. You didn't. Simple. Amunah. Hashem. This is Hashem said to do. This is what the Torah says. This is what I want. Tzaddikim. They're kaddish. We have to mechabed them. This is all going with you to the next world, Saba. This is all you're gonna be. It's brought down this one. It's gonna dress you. It's gonna dress your neshama. This is the clothing of your neshama. This is your closeness that you're gonna have to Hashem in the next world. And this close of all your family sitting here, family in America, they're all keeping Torah mitzvahs, all in your close and all in your mitzvahs nefesh, and all of your clarity for what's right, for what your mission is here in this world, for your travels in this world, for your shuat Hashem in this world. There's so much more to say. It's Erev Shabbos. We all have to go home to Mekabel Shabbos. Sabi, you're going to Al-Haba, to Gan Eden. Gehuna b'im Mekabel Shabbos, all the tzaddikim Gan Eden. Saba, we ask mefila from you as a family. If we're mechabed you enough, properly the way you really cover that you really deserve, you didn't call or visit enough. Everything that we have, I know is in your skills. Be a milad tzvisha for our mishlocha, Shemayim. May we reunite because of this. Much.
Thank you. It says in Kohelet, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Aleph, Tov Shem, Shem and Tov, V'yom Mavet, V'yom Holado. Many psukim in Kohelet, Shlomo Melech wrote, don't see the true meaning of these psukim till you see it lived. And that's what I saw. I saw this pasuk lived out with my father throughout his life. When I was young, I don't think I mentioned this to anyone. I used to daven to Hashem that shouldn't take away my father, that he should live. And I used to think of myself like Moshe Rabbeinu was fighting for Hashem, for Am Yisrael, that they shouldn't be wiped out, and giving reasons that the Mitzrayim are going to say their God's greater than our God. And I would say, we need him too much. You can't take him away. I was thinking afterwards, why did I think that way with my father and not anyone else? I don't know why. And then I was thinking partially part of his history. He was an orphan at 8 years old. His father passed away at 32. And at 18, he lost his oldest brother. He was born in 1938. And he was brought up by his uncle Elisha, who my nephew is named after, that just spoke. Elisha, along with the rest of his family, were very special people. People that I don't think we would recognize many in this generation. He supported my father's family when my grandfather, his father passed away. My grandfather entirely, with an open hand. And he used to tell me stories about his uncle Elisha, how generous he was, how he supported other people in his family without expecting or wanting anything in return. And he was telling me how, when he would walk the streets of Morocco, he was very well recognized. He had a very large granary. My mother told me yesterday he was the postmaster. People would come to him and ask him for advice in business. And then he would come to him. They would ask him. And he would say, "Here, take in my pocket. I don't need to look. Take whatever you want." And that's how he grew up with a personality that he learned from his family. He did mitzvot, and he did the right things for one reason, because that was the right thing to do. No other reason. He told me when he was young, he lived in Meknes, which is considered one of the more religious cities in Morocco. And he was playing soccer as a young boy, and Rabbi Meknes would come walking on the street. He said they all stopped playing soccer, and they all run to kiss his hand. Later, his son Rabbi Meknes married off with Rabbi Yaakov Adi, my oldest brother here in Yerushalayim. And he told stories about how Elisha supported his wife, who was married into the Meshas family. He was a tremendous Baal Tzedakah, and he basically was the bedrock of the family. Growing up, I considered him to be a Superman, not just from his physical prowess, but his mental prowess, how he was able to have infinite patience with us and with the people around him. I remember when I was young, we were young and not very considerate about things we did, and I used to have a bicycle, and we'd have this ramp set up in our block, and we just jump up the ramp with our bikes and go up about good 3, 4, 5 feet and then crash down. So I came back one day, and when I did it one time, I broke the bike by the frame, by the center where the seat met. And he came over to me. He wasn't upset with me. He says, "Why'd you break the bike? What was this silliness you did?" He just wanted to know, how could I break it? So I told him, "Well, the kids are on the block, we're jumping up this ramp." Not any questions, didn't criticize me. Next day he came back, took the bike to work, and he soldered it so strong that when we were going up the ramps, all my friends would want to borrow my bike to go up it. And that's how he was with what he did. He strived for excellence in everything he did. And he he would have his pickup truck, and he would use it for all his talents in life. He used it for chesed and kindness to his family and friends around him and the community. Remember, he moved me with his pickup truck several times. One time to Manhattan, and I moved in with my brother for several years. That's where I met my wife. Another time, he moved us in Passaic. And this was a person who worked, he was a classic business owner of the older times, small business. He woke up at 5:30 in the morning every day. He said he didn't need an alarm. He just got up at 5:30. I remember we used to have dinner, and we used to have the 11 o'clock news on when we'd have dinner. I didn't think anything of it. I thought this is how it is in every family. And yet every Sunday, there was always something that we needed him for. And without any complaints, he just did it, never expected anything, any gratitude. I remember when he moved my uncle, Tonto Arbel, in Philadelphia, in Center City. I don't know if people are familiar with Center City. It's an old city, which has small blocks, very small blocks, and they had to move. My uncle was a professor. He literally had thousands of books. And of course, there was at least 2 flights of stairs that my uncle lived in, and he moved them himself. I know people who have relatives or professors, these books are not light. And he was able, without any complaint, spent the whole day from morning to dawn. He had to double park half the time in Center City, move it around. No questions asked. He did that countless times and times again with all my relatives. Endless amount of stories. His honesty for his business was legendary. When I was graduating university in mechanical engineering, my father said he arranged the interview for me at Boeing Helicopters in Ridley Park, Pennsylvania. It's a very big engineering firm. And I interviewed there. I said, okay, Dad, thank you. I came over there, and he said, your dad services our radiators and other things that are specialized for helicopters. I never met a person as honest as your dad. It's the only reason I'm interviewing you, because I owe a debt of gratitude to him. There was a person who came into his work one day, and he told me, he told my father that my father left a will for me, and he gave me a list of things, recommendations. And he told me, if there's anything you need to do to your car, go to Gabe. He'll take care of you. That's what he left in his will. There was a person who used to tell me about, legendary story. We all our siblings know about it. They called him Mr. Moisture. He says, who's this Mr. Moisture? So he said, there's this person, he used to come in, and he would complain. He said, there's some moisture I see by the radiator. There's something wrong. Can you take care of it? Come by, look at it, clean it up. He said, there's nothing wrong. You go home. He goes, no, I need you to take care of it. So I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong. Every several months, he'd come back, and he'd say the same thing. And he said, I want to pay you. I want to fix it. He goes, there's nothing wrong with your radiator. Go home. And this is going on for years. Never took a cent from him. He kept saying, I want to pay you. Said, no. He would do work for the community without any questions. It was even an insult to ask him for payment. He would work on the school buses that we had in our school, no charge. And this is how he lived his life. Saying Shamayim, there's kategers in Saneger. The Midrash says, the Chazal say that there's a mala for every mitzvah that a person does. I know in Shamayim, Papa, you have an army of malachim that are escorting you in Shamayim for all the mitzvot that we don't know about, and that we do know about. And I'm sure we'll hear more every day. I hear something. He would support his family members, family, locally, internationally. He would support the Kollel. And they lived in the same home that they moved into for 30 or 45 years. Everyone in the block moved out. I said, no, we're not moving. We don't need to move. And I would get upset with him. I said, Dad, it's a beautiful suburb, Elkins Park. You could live there, it'd be life. He said, no, don't need it. We need the money to support the community, the family members. I needed that, and he didn't want it for himself. Reminiscent of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, by his deathbed, because I'll say he picked up his pinky. He says, I didn't even benefit with a pinky from all the wealth that I acquired. I always used it for the benefit. Of course, he made the Mishnayot. It reminds me of that was his perspective with money. He ran a business, but he never felt concerned about having to keep it afloat. He just felt what is right, that's what needs to be done. I looked through the Pirkei Avot. I'll just highlight a few things that I came across. There's many of them that could apply, but I think what I was just saying from Antinas Nishsocho, HaMeshachim Mr. Rav Shalom Nat Al-Makabel Pras. He says, Shamshin Rav Nat Al-Makabel Pras, Ela Hayu Kavadim, don't be like that. And that's how he was in Shemayim. I mean, that's how he was here. And in Shemayim, I'm sure he'll be judged favorably for that. Just to finish off briefly, now that we're in the 3 weeks, thinking it's appropriate that it's time for his Levaya. We know during the 3 weeks, we try to do tshuva for Chetem Raglim. From a young age, he wanted to come to Israel, make Aliyah. He was ready to go on a boat to Israel. At the last minute, I think his aunt or sister begged him to stay. Even though he didn't come here when he was alive, although we did show him apartments in the Neve Daniel, and we showed him the little apartments that they were renting out across from the Makolet. And he came in there. He's like, okay, this is good for me. I'm ready to move. My mother was like, well, where are we going to put everything? Didn't matter. He's like, this is it. This is where I want to be. He wanted to be here. And his last request with my mother was to be buried here in Eretz Yisrael. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that's what we plan on doing. And I was thinking now that he has 10 children here, and he also has grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And I'd like to ask my niece, Abigail, Ariella, it's Avi, my niece, Abigail, to say the last few words.
Thanks. Saba was the strongest person I have ever known. Not just because he lifted weights in Morocco, and not because he was a mechanic for so many years in Philadelphia fixing radiators. He was strong because he was our Saba, who protected us from all harm and provided us with everything we could ever need. He was quietly strong, with such a teddy bear around us. I'll never forget his bare hugs and his warm smile every time you saw him. The way he said my name with such love and happiness. All he ever wanted was to take care of his family. It says in Pirkei Avos Parak Aleph, "Emor ma'at v'aseh harbeh," say a little and do a lot. This is everything that Saba was. He never talked much, but when he did, you knew it was meaningful and had purpose. Saba was just there to get the job done, to provide and be there for his family in the most loving way he knew how. He was a man of little distraction, always having his focus in the right place. I had the chance of spending Sukkot and Pesach with him and Savta for about 5 years consecutively in Uncle Ali's house. I'll never forget his smile at the end of the Seder table as he looked upon his progeny with pride. I hope to never forget his Kiddush, the sweet incline of his voice as he benched the yontif that we were celebrating. His simplicity in everything he did made every action and every word all the more impactful. Everything he did, everything he was with the ultimate tznius, never making a fuss. The last time I saw him, I remember him being so proud that I'm living in Eretz Yisrael. He loved to be here and was so proud to be a Yid. It was impossible to not feel close to him because whenever you saw him, you felt his love. He was a man so full of genuine care and compassion for everyone around him. Saba, you lived such an accomplished and full life, yet here we are in pain. We know that you're on your way to Olam HaEmes, enjoying the fruits of your labor of a life well lived. But Saba, we're incomplete without you. Your smiles, laugh, and affection will be missed forever. Saba, you were the patriarch of our family, who carried us all, and were the center of our world. When we were all together as a family, everything felt so complete. So now, we're left without a piece. We're incomplete, and we're broken as a result. We are left missing you. But Saba, we won't give up. We were determined to follow your legacy, to be even a bit as strong as you were in your life, to never throw our hands up and fight for what we believe to be right and true. Saba, you leave us with such a rich legacy, to follow in the footsteps of your ancestors who came before you, and carry on all those values that you personified. Saba, thank you for everything you have taught us, whether through words or actions. But most of all, thank you for everything that you were and represented to all your grandchildren, the proud grandfather who could see no wrong in anyone.
פרק ט"ז בתהילים, מכתם לדוד שומרני אל כי חסיתי בך. אמרת לאדוני, אדוני אתה טובתי בלעליך, לקדושים אשר בארץ עם אדירי כוחך כתיבם, ירבו עצבותם אחר מרו בלעשית נזכם מדם ובלשא את שמותם על שפתי. אדוני מנת חלקי וחוסי אתה תומך גורלי, חבלים נפלו לי בני ממך נחלת שפרה עלי. אברך את אדוני אשר יעצני אף לילות יסרוני חיליותי. שיביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד כי מימיני בא למות. לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי על בשרי ישכון לבטח. כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת. תודיעני אורח חיים סובה שמחות את פניך נעימות בימינך נצח. קדיש. לפי מנהג ירושלים, כל יוצא חלצה, והבן, הבת, נכדים או נכדות לא ילכו אחר המיטה. אתם נכדים?
I suggest people take their car if they can. It's a bit of a walk. If you don't mind the walk, it's about 12 minutes.
אנחנו נלווה קצת את
רגע, יש נסיעה? איך אני אעשה את זה?
נכדים יש גם עוד? עוד רגע, לחכות בבקשה. הפך נשבר ואנחנו נמלטנו. ויהי נועם אדוני אלוהינו עלינו מהצדק ומהצדק יושב בסתר עליון בצדקה יתונן ומר לאדוני מחשי ומתודתי אלוהי תחור יד סדרה מכך נגור ורבות אל כולנו יסף ותחת כנפת ותצצנה וסתרה מתוך לא תירא מפחד לילה מחץ יעוף יומם מדבר באופן יהלוך וכתנס ותוריים יפול מצלך 1000 ורבבה מימינך אליך לא ייגש רק בעיניך תביט ושילומת רשעים תראה כי אתה אדוני מחסי עליון ושמת מעונך לא תאונה אליך רע ונגע לא יקרא באוהליך כי מלאכיו יצווה לך לשמורך בכל דרכיך, על כפיים יישאוך, פן תיגוף באבן רגליך, על שחל בפתן תדבוק, תרמוס פיר ותניני, כי מתמשך באפלתהו אסכתהו בידה שמי, תקראיני בעיניהו עמו אנוכי בצרה, חלצהו ואכבדהו אורך ימים עשהו וערב בשבועתי, עקביה בן מהללל אומר הסתכל בשלושת בנים והנעת על ידי עבירה, דע מאין באת ולאן אתה הולך ולפני מי אתה עתיד ליתן דין וחשבון עין ולאן אתה הולך לתחום עפרים ותולע ולפני מי אתה עתיד ליתן דין וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית מרבה להשיב אפו ולא יעיר כל
חמתו יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. על מה דיברך ומודה לי על מיכמן מודה לי אסמך וקנה מקרב לשכם. היכול במקום חיים לכל ישראל בעגלה ובכל קריב אמרו אמן. שמי רבה מברך לעלה ועלמי עלמי יתברך ושבא מפעל ותאמר ותעשה מתחדק ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי בושה וריחוב אלא מכל ברכתה שבתה נחמתה ורחמתה למנה בעלמה ואמרו אמן. תתקלה חלבה וחפנה ומותנו ומרחיק לשני עדני לנו ולכל על עמו ישראל ואמרו אמן. כי יש למה רבה מי שהיה חיים סבב שעוד נחמה ושזבור כבוד אולה שעב ותרה ורווח והצלה לנו כעמו ישראל ואמרו אמן. ששלום תברו מה וברחמה לעשות שלום עלינו כעמו ישראל ואמרו אמן.
בבקשה להיכנס לכלי הרכב, אנחנו נוסעים כאן שמאלה עד הסוף. מוטי, לא לזום.
Now everybody they take the car and go to the place where the Kvora.
You're the father?
Is the Ari? Sorry.
Is this the Ari funeral? There's the family.
Sorry for not being so nice now. ישר או שמאלה? ישר או שמאלה הם הלכו?
להלוויה או לצאת?
להלוויה. תודה. אוקיי. Yeah, it's rude. לחנות? What's going on? Should we just park like that? מה? Okay, bye this. Bye this.
But they're saying hello. They're waiting for this great neshama to come return to where it began. Achnasat Archim is a good mitzvah. But everybody knows, Jew and non-Jew, hospitality is a great thing. Why is hospitality so great? It's another mitzvah. It doesn't even say it in the Torah. Tefillin, mitzvah, mezuzah, tzitzit. But it doesn't say hospitality in the Torah. We learn it from Avraham Avinu. He did something, and from there we learn it. And the Sfarim say, Maharal explains, because the purpose of a Jew is to show the world who we are, to teach the greatness of Hashem. If we would have to capsulize one thing in Hashem, how to be like Him, how can we possibly capsulize one thing if Hashem does everything? He gives us everything. He's the creator, He's our Father. But the Gemara says, what you can capsulize, one thing. Be like Him! How are you supposed to be like Him? He's invisible. The answer is, the Haknasat Archim, that a person gives money and food to a wayfarer. That is the biggest thing you can do, because that is Hashem's greatest mitzvah that He does to the Jewish people. Why is that such a great mitzvah? Because is there anything in the world that you can say that Hashem does, if not in the Parneset of Bnei Adam? Every single iota of the world is sustained by Hashem, from the smallest bug to the giantest giant. This is the greatest thing Hashem does for the Jewish and for the Goyim. He's mefarnes et hakol. We say it every day in Birkat HaMazon. So that's why Achnasat Orchim, says the Maharal, is such a great mitzvah. Because we're doing exactly what he does. He's giving food, he's giving sustenance, he's giving clothing, he's giving shelter. When you do that, you're doing exactly what Hashem said. And where can I have a better place than in Rabbi Gavriel and Chana's house, where I spent every single year. How they took care of us and the yeshiva. You indeed treated me as the representative of my yeshiva, as a king. And God is going to treat your husband just like that. Because what you do here is what you do there. If you wasted your life here, you're going to waste it there. If you did ma'asim tovim and mitzvot, everything a person does in this world, he puts money in the pushka, he's putting money in the pushka, in his own pushka. Mama. When he does something for someone else, it's for him.
Does she want to talk?
The little that I knew you at the end of your life, now I see who you really were. And it was a chut for me and the family and my family and the yeshiva to emes to speak, to say a few words on your behalf, on the family.
נכתום לדוד שומרי מיהל כי חסיתי בך אמרת אדוני אדוני אתה טובתי בלעליך לקדושים אשר בארץ הם עבדירי כל חפציבם ירבו עצבותם אחר מארו בלעשיך נזכם עמידם ובלעשה את שמותם על שפתי אדוני מנת חלקי וחוסי אתה תמיך גורלי אבל אם נפלו לי בנים ממך נחלת שפרה עלי אברך את אדוני אשר יעצני אף לילות יסרוני חיליותי שיביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיתי ימיני בא למות לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי הבשרי ישכון לבטח כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול לא תיתן חסדך לראות שחת תודיעני אורח חיים סוב והשמחות את בניך נעימות בימינך נצח.
גדל וקדש שמי רבה. יאמר יברך יותר ונברך יותר ויצמח מכאן וכאן לשבטי. וחי יכול ויום יכול וחי לכל בית ישראל. בא גאולה בזמן קריב ולמו אמן. יתברך וישתבח ויתפרע ויתרומם ויתנשא. יתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קודשה ברכו. ולנו כל ברכתה שבירתה ותשבחתה נחם השדה רבי ימיו ולמו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמעיה וחיים טובים חיים מסבא ישוע ונחמה של זבר רפואה וגאולה וסליחה וכפרה וחסד ונחמה ישראל ולמו אמן. עושה שלום ורחמיו וברחמיו יעשו שם עלינו ולקמה ישראל ולמו אמן.
אוקיי, חמותי רצה להגיד משהו.
אמא אשתו.
Okay. Hello?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Hello, you're here?
Yes, we're all ready.
Okay, good.
It's my mother.
It is so hard for me. All our children. to write about the passing of my beloved husband, Gavriel, of blessed memory. In heaven, you will feel so happy and so proud for working so hard and raising so beautiful family who had one of the top education, not only in secular studies, but also in Torah studies. You ought to enjoy it to have our synagogue and the midi also. You were so modest and so terrible. Both of us will be in heaven. Our love will never die. We pray God from heaven to bless your memory forever and ever. Your dearest wife, Annette, loves you forever. All your lovely children, Shalom, Eli, Robert, April, Karine, and Nathalie, loves you forever. All our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and family loves you forever. My husband is coming from a great family of Miknes Mokubu. His grandmother Rahel, her father was Rabbi Joshua Toledano, the chief rabbi of Miknes Mokubu. Her mother was married to Rabbi David Bustidan. He was also the chief rabbi of Miknes Mokubu. All of them of great memory. If I will have to talk about all the nivot of my beloved husband Gabriel, I will have to write a book. We bring that from heaven to bless the memory of his beloved brothers, Robert and Maximadi. To bless the memory of his uncles, Elisha and David Adi. His aunt Ida, Hasiba, Reha, and Esther. They all raised so beautiful. They all raised so beautiful family.
You write that you remember Rabbi Yoshua Toledano. It's the father of Ima Rachel, and also the grandfather. It's Rabbi David Busidan, also Rabbi Chaim Cohen. Baruch Hashem, they live the good children, good grandchildren, and you have zchut to education all your children. Okay? Thank you.
גבריאל בן שלום, בשם...
Memories.
Okay. Wonderful.
גבריאל בן שלום, בשם החברה קדישה, בשם המשפחה, הקרובים, הידידים והמלווים, אנו מבקשים ממך סליחה ומחילה. שם החס וחלילה פגענו בכבודך, הן בטהרה, בנשיאת המיטה ובתיקון הקבר, אנא סלח לנו כי אין זו אלא שגגה. החברה קדישה נהגה איתך כמנהגי ירושלים, עיר הקודש. תהיינה מציאות עבור משפחתך, קרוביך וידידיך, ועבור כל כלל ישראל בכל תפוצות ישראל, וייתן השם ויגולה המוות לנצח, ומחה השם אלוקים דמעה מעל כל פנים, ובא לציון גואל במהרה בימינו. אמן. לך בשלום ותנוח בשלום ותעמוד לגורלך לקץ.
השכבה, אני רוצה, אשרי ישרת אדוני במצוותיו, חפץ מאוד טוב, שם שמן טוב, יום המוות מיום היוולדו. מנוחה נכונה ושבעה עליונה במעלות קדושים וצורים תזוהר ערכי המגבירים לנשמת. האיש הכשר אל אלוקים ושר מהרה, רודף צדקה וחסד, רבי גבריאל, עדי בן שלום ורובידה, נפטר לבית עולמו, רוח השם תניחנו בגן עדן. אלף מלכי המלכים ברחמה ורחם עליו, חוז יחמול עליו, ילווה לה בשלום, ובכל בני ישראל לכם יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. בילה המוות לנצח ומחה, אדוני אלוהים דמעה מעל כל פנים, חרפת עמו יסיר מעל כל הארץ כי אדוני דיבר, יחיו מתיך נבלתי קומון, הקיצו ולנו שוכני עפר, יתעלונות תלך וארץ ובהם תפיל, ואורחו מכפר עוון ולא ישחית, וירבה להשיב אפו ולא יעיר כל חמתו. Yerushalayim, Tenuhamu. Annette, tu dois s'asseoir jusqu'à 2 heures avant Shabbat. Et 2 heures avant Shabbat, tu enlèves les habits que tu as, gardez jusqu'à samedi soir, après que Shabbat il sort. Et vous
les
remettre. Et vous finissez le Shiva, le deuil, jeudi matin. Ok? Jeudi matin, vous pouvez se laver et faire tout. C'est tout.
Annette? Non, c'est le fils de David. C'est le fils de David Adi. Merci.
All make us feel so proud. Your father, Rabbi David Adi, created so beautiful family. All of us so deeply. They will love them also forever.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Annette. I'm Alice. the daughter of David Adi. I remember you very well. Everybody is here, everybody.
Thank you so much for all your beautiful speeches. They were so touching.
Thank you
when
very
you
much.
stopped to come.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will with you. מה עושים?
לא, ספרדים לא עושים שורה. ניחמנו אותם במקום, זה בסדר. זהו, הם גמרו, כל אחד יכול ללכת הביתה, רבותיי, יום שישי, זה הזמן ללכת. לא, we don't make שורה. Our custom, we don't make שורה. בסדר?
מנחה בחמש.
לא, take your shoes in your home. זה מסוכן להוריד את זה, ותראה איזה אבנים ובלגן.
And it's not even leather. Is this leather?
I don't think so.
You don't even look at the
No, וגם זה לא אור.
אם לא אור, אוקיי. אם זה לא אור, אריה, אם זה לא אור, אין בעיה, אתה יכול להישאר עם זה. לכל כיוון. טוב, שלום.
It's okay. Let's go. Thanks so much for being with us in this moment. Good Shabbos, and of course you can reach out with the family and your phone. Good Shabbos.